Bruce Cottrill. My business is Bib'n Brace. We've just been taken over by another business, a Newcastle-based business called Designwood. Mostly demolition products and turn them into new architectural products. So we started with timber because there was about 40,000 tonnes a year of demolition timber going to waste in Sydney every year. And we just saw that as a huge resource that's worth about $6 or $7 billion when converted to a marketable commodity. So we thought we would have a crack at that, and we started that 8 years ago, and it was a lot harder than we thought. But we're now rolling well. We're producing about 5 tonne a week. The original business model was, if you were thinking of pushing over a house or a warehouse, or you wanted to do a development, then you would contact us and say, right, we would like to use as much out of this building as we possibly can in the new build. What do you reckon? And so we would then say, yeah, okay, well, if you use one of these demolishers, we know that they're careful and they'll pull things out so that they can be reused. We'll then process them so that they can be reused in the new building, and then talk about, okay, what parts of the new building are we going to reuse, what can be recycled. So we've done a few jobs like that. But we do work with a few developers who get it and do spectacular developments accordingly. Some demolishers will demolish carefully and they will hand pull everything apart, in which case we'll pay for those timbers because they're well preserved. This is starting with the timbers. Other demolishers prefer just to mulch up the house and get rid of it in big trucks. Well, we take a large percentage of that as well, and then we sort through that, take what we can recover out of that. What we can't recover out of that, we mulch up and compress and turn into firewood and sell through Bunnings. So we try and we have bugger all waste, really, from what we do. So we started with timber, then we started recycling polystyrene, so we're now incorporating polystyrene in a lot of our products, recycled polystyrene to keep the weight down. The next thing we're moving on to will be coppice logs. It takes an eye to do it nicely. Bang a few pieces together and make a product, but is it nice? They have value other than ultimately landfill anyway. The factory was up until recently in Morisset. We've just moved it up to Stroud. And we've opened our first showroom in Hamilton, in Newcastle. So we're productive. There's been a good meeting of the staff, so they're working well together. Everyone's keen to work together, and it's going well. Jobs are going out. Always been sustainably sort of oriented. My father's a Danish Cabinet Maker, so they've always taught the culture is never waste anything. You accumulate the offcuts until you find a use for it, and you resist throwing them away as long as you possibly can. So I grew up with that culture. I just see that, there was this huge waste and market opportunity. So this was an attempt to fill that. The reason for the takeover was we needed to scale. We run out of space, needed more staff, primarily space for stock. As volume grows, you need space for it. We're not talking ute loads of materials now, we're talking semi-loads of materials now. So you just have to be able to account for that. It's not so much solving the problem of waste timber, it's more realising the opportunity in the waste. But we're also solving the problem of I like manufacturing and I like having staff and the resources to make things. And so it's preserving those skills and being able to make money out of it. So and making gorgeousness. I just see a missed opportunity in the market for absolute gorgeousness, because you go to Italy and Spain and you see all these fabulous old doors and things, and we can't do it here. Well, we're doing it here. It mightn't be a 300-year-old door, but it'll be a 300-year-old piece of timber that the door's made from. I think last year was probably the first really good year of everything just went in. We started the job, we made the job, we finished the job, and it just all worked. And it sort of culminated at one of my favourite jobs. We finished just before Christmas, and that was Saddles at Mount White. And it's just, everything came together. It's a fabulous design, great environment, client gets it, wants to do as sustainable as possible. And it was just a joy to do, because everyone is on the same page. To know what to call it. There's lots of buzzwords in the industry. That's kind of irrelevant. I just saw lots of cubic metres of material that wasn't being utilised, and a market opportunity for people who like gorgeous things. Find a market for the recycled product first, because Without a market, it doesn't matter what technology you've got or what you're recycling and how good it is for the environment, it's not sustainable. They're the hard parts of the business. They're actually taking the product and mixing and doing something with it. That's actually relatively simple, because that's a linear process. We've got a pile of stuff here and we want to get there, then that's a linear process. But developing a market and a pricing and a business, that's hard by comparison to it. In a previous life, I worked in a private equity firm, and what most inventors didn't really appreciate was whatever they're spent in developing their product, basically you need to spend that much again to get it to market. Saddles works really well, and I'd recommend everyone go there. It is genuinely world class, and it's at Mount White, so on your trip to Sydney, it's a perfect place to stop in and have a coffee. We have a track record. You can see what we do on the website. There's gorgeousness. We've got a full manufacturing plant with millions of dollars worth of equipment and big shed, big yard, trucks going in and out. So, to my knowledge, I don't think there's anyone else that's got the scale. It has, because I'm now charging enough. We had a lot of technical hurdles to get over. I mean, quick start, it's just my personality profile. But this is easy. I'm a carpenter. I know all about timber. Well, I didn't realise that if you pull a rafter out of a roof, a piece of timber that's been in a roof for 80 years, the outside of it's nice and dry and things, but the inside is still wet. So you start making things out of it. It's just going to keep moving as it continues to dry out. You stick it in air conditioning, it's going to dry it real quick. You dry timber out, it moves. So we had to develop whole new ways of treating it, and that's part of what we do. I mean, that's an old rafter. What we do to keep it straight, this is for doors, is we put an LVL in the middle. So then A, the timber goes a lot further, and B, that's always going to be straight, dead straight, which means your joinery is going to last. It'd significantly outlast if we do solid hardwood on it, because in a year's time or 5 years' time, it's going to develop a bone. So, one of our big things. And then, of course, we had fine glues that would hold it all together, and stick to Australian hardwoods. I mean, Australian hardwoods are fabulous timbers, but they're unstable and they're incredibly hard. I mean, in icebreakers, they put Australian ironbark, on the bow of icebreakers, just so that the steel doesn't dent when it smashes through ice in the Arctic. How hard Australian timbers are and how good they are, but you've got to find a different way to work with them. Project which we work on, because this is travelling well, so we're just growing the market now, hence talking to you good people. Our next project is actually this. Treated pine is not being recycled anywhere in the world, to our knowledge, and that's millions of tonnes of timber that might have taken 40, 60, 80 years to grow because it's only pine, or if it's in Sweden, 300 years to grow before they cut it down, and then it's treated so that it's durable outside, which is fabulous. But the problem is with the treatment in it, nobody wants to handle it once it's finished because it's got copper, chromium and arsenic in it. So you have to be careful. Anyway, so our next project is to do that. And so we want to replace durable timber outside products like straining posts, fence posts, things like that, with a cast version of itself. So instead of putting braces and things, or for mounts for solar panels and paddocks, we want to take all that waste coppice log, mix it with all sorts of secret sources, and basically make a concrete type product out of it. That's basically zero carbon, and it's going to outlast the original product in its place. But because it's cast, you've saved a whole heap of time fitting it. A straining post in a winery, you've got a post, you've got a brace, you've got to concrete it, and you've got to run your strainer wires and things through it and tighten it all up. Well, if you could have the post and the brace all there, or you could do a little trench and pin it to the ground with holes already in it, well, you've got a quarter of the time doing install. Labour is so much more expensive than materials now, then there's half a chance of the product being sustainable. So it's scale and then develop new projects. It's the good to great model. It's preserve and core and stimulate growth. We've got to own our backyard. And I'm new to Newcastle. I'm mostly used to Central Coast and Sydney. So yes, we need to develop the Newcastle market. and go from there. Because if you can do it here, then you can do it anywhere. We do get the odd bit of research done, and suppliers. We work closely with them. We've had glues specifically mixed, we've had paints specifically mixed to achieve certain goals. They're the sort of groups that we sort of tend to collaborate with. Look and ring me, I'm old-fashioned. Ring me and talk to me. I mean, you can send me an email if you like. Bib'n Brace, BIBN, BRACE.com.au.